really want to accomplish something. Be prepared for hard work.
For the victory lap though. Whoa, whoa, they ain't never seen nothing like this before.
I must say I'm glad he's on my team and not playing against him. He's deceptively quick for the size that he is. I mean, he almost weighs 140 kgs.
Two things that I always ever wanted to do was play for Fiji and play Super Rugby, and I got to do that.
Oh, look at some of these Fijian boys, they're big boys.
Switch gears, we keep the hitters in the rear. At the blood, sweat and tears, and my goal so near. I see my
We have once a week we do our sort of lift. I think it's squats and bench press, and yeah, I've nipped a few of the forwards there in the record books, but nah, it's yeah, squat and bench got it at the moment. I think I'm in front of Yanni Duplessis, so he's very strong. First up, before my suspension I was at 139, so I enjoyed a bit too many baguettes, and so I got obviously I'm on my suspension, which is about 5 weeks suspension, and so we just sat down with the training staff, and you know, we got together and said, listen, let's bring the weight down, and so I'm turning the scales now at 134, and so I've lost 5 kilos over, you know, since then. I'm gonna play some Fijian songs. I need some inspiration.
Oh yeah. Yo, let's do this. Now picture homie rolling. Let me offer my condolence. You don't know just how I'm doing. And the silence golden broke cause they know I'm talking fluent. Got them under the influence, the truest for talking to them. But decline your ego, bumping them out music, I'm eschewing. I just doing good a day, gonna have to get explicit. I got love for rappers like I do for my fucking ex-bitches. And I got that pass, so I'm gonna ask permission if I can take it.
Alright, you good?
How are you, brother?
Still got 3 weeks.
Politics, mate. Probably, Toulouse probably put a lot of pressure.
Mine was bad, but I don't think it was that bad.
To be honest, for me, the first contact
Shoulder.
is on the shoulder.
And then it finishes.
But you finish on the
Yeah,
neck.
I hooked him.
Yeah, and because you do that,
Yeah.
you're so heavy.
And he's so light and small.
Yeah, it just looks like
Yeah.
fucking
100%. Oh, brush. How'd that do? Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just making sure that, you know, my body's right for the week, and, you know, each game. I've obviously, with the injury, the knee injury, sort of put things in perspective for me, you know, with my weight and stuff. So I've just really worked hard on trying to bring the fat down, and what he does every day, he just run every day, trying to put that weight down. it's got a lot of weight on him. If you have a guy like that in the team, it's a bonus. And what he does in the field is no one else like Nemani Nadolo. In 2017, when we went playing for Fiji in June, and then at the hotel, his uncle showed up, and his uncle was my uncle. You two are cousins? What? All this time we haven't known we were cousins. So right now the relationship is we're just good, very good friends.
Playing for Fiji was definitely the highlight of my career. Every year, you know, when you know you get picked. I mean, there was a time there where I didn't get picked for 3 years, and you know, but the desire was always still there. The desire, you know, and every time I've played for Fiji, I've given it my all, and I've always said to myself that the moment I double think, I question playing for Fiji is the day that listen, I know that it's time to move on. And the two things that I always ever wanted to do was play for Fiji and play Super Rugby, and I got to do that. I'd played most of my career in France at 137, 138. You know, it does seem a lot, but I've learned to know my body and I know how it works. If you're going to be 110 or upwards, you know, and you're a winger, you're always going to be, you know, compared to the great man, and you're always going to have that. But you know, and credit to Jonah, he set that standard, he set that bar. But I mean, it doesn't help when people are coming out saying you're the next this, next that. You know, and some people, so that's where some players can get it wrong as well. You know, it might get to them a bit too much, and you know, you don't get to see fulfill their potential.
Oh, jeez. Oh, c'est la vie. I've managed to get this far. It's my third season, but I guess rugby's caught up with all the games. I think my body's caught up with me, and probably glad I'm at this stage of my career and, you know, a bit more mature. Yeah, I'm in that category where I just walked past the boulangerie today and I think I might have put on a few kilos. So it just means you got to work harder, and you know your body. You know, I've got my younger brother who's completely opposite. You know, he's a bit more toned out, but he struggles to put on the weight. So
yeah, so in Japan I think I got to about 107, 108. You could blame the rice for that. There was a lot of rice in my diet. I'm here in France and I'm down to 103. So
you know, he put on a kilo and he's like, Russ, I put on weight. And I was like, mate, you don't know what weight is, mate. I was that when I was 17, so.
Yeah, I think we've just given to each other since being kids. I obviously missed out on the big genes, and yeah, probably got my dad's genes. So obviously, I've always tried to make up what I don't have in regards to his size. I've always tried to base my game around how he plays, being the first defender, making meters, making the gain line. So yeah, we kind of just bounced ideas off each other, and since we were kids. So yeah, I think we just help each other out where our strong aspects of the game are, and what's weak, we try to help each other out.
So I arrived here in September 2016 after the Crusaders, and this is now my third season. And then I've fortunate enough to re-sign. So this is my area. I'm in Juvniak. There's only a handful of us guys that live out of town. A lot of the guys live in town or around town. But I try and get away. I grew up out in the bush, so I'm not really much of a city person, so I don't really go in. So further away, the better, I guess. I was born in Fiji. When I was 3 months old, my father had the opportunity to come to Queensland to play rugby, so migrated the family over, and back in the late 80s, I think he played a few seasons for the Reds, and that's where it all kicked off for us, and you know, we called Brisbane home. Watching my father play every weekend was probably the earliest memory I had playing rugby, and so, you know, from there, eventuated into being ball boys and, you know, taking care of the scoreboard. So, yeah, rugby is very much a big part of our family, and our grandfather used to say, you either go to university or you play rugby.
I think having family in your team, it kind of gives you this different sense of confidence and different kind of motivation, knowing that you do have family in the same environment, on the same training pitch, on the same team. So, but no, we were always close. Every time we went to school, you know, we were only 2 grades apart from each other. So he'd always look after me in primary school and high school. And yeah, he's always, I guess, kind of set the standards in not just footy, but off the field as well.
Even though we lived in Australia, we were, you know, the Fiji culture was right there. You know, we'll church on Sundays with the parents, and, you know, you indulge in Fiji food every weekend. So, you know, growing up, one thing I'm grateful for was that wasn't taken away from us, which was you know, stuck with me till today.
Bro, you know you can eat those hamsters?
No,
I saw it on YouTube. I'm being serious.
it's not normal.
Okay, if I wake up and I text you, I'll only go if you reply back. A few of us guys from the Southern Hemisphere, you know, Aaron Cruden and Jim Nguso, and obviously Chris has joined us now, so we have a little group, a little Carver group. I don't know if people are familiar with Carver. It's a drink that us Islanders drink, and so once a week or twice a week we get together and have a bit of Carver.
Are you gonna do uppers or full?
Full body. But the guy's like, he only does uppers, bruh.
No way.
Yeah, his shoulders and chest.
Oh, don't say that, man.
Take the shirt off and just.
Oh, man.
Obviously, we're all a bit jealous of his natural strength, so some of us have tried for a long time to get stronger and bigger, but it's not happening for us. But makes a big difference for us. He's a down-to-earth guy off the field and always have time for you. And no, he's a great human being off the pitch. So yeah, very glad he's playing on our team, and you can just sense the difference he makes when he plays for your team. You get a feel that, you know, he just brings a lot of positive energy to the guys around him, and brings confidence to the guys, and he creates something out of nothing. So he's definitely a game breaker and one of the best wingers that I've played with.
Should we get ice cream out of here? Should we get ice cream somewhere?
He wants pancakes.
You getting pancakes? I'll only get it if you get it.
If you get it, I'll get it.
Yeah, if you get it, I'll get it. Oh, mate, we've already had a beer, so it's wiped out today's Sevens game.
We had salad.
Oh, salad, so it regained. Another.
We've got some space to
Yeah.
play with.
So we had the burgers, and the beers, and then with the salad, wiped that out.
My legs are aching.
Yes, because of the running we did, we lost so much energy. The banana replenishes the carbohydrates that was lost. So therefore having pancakes, banana fraiche, sauce, chocolat, chantilly, chantilly. You know, to have him around and training with us and experiencing just a lifestyle here, and also just having family, you know, it's really good, and something for me, I'm cherishing it because, you know, as brothers, you know, you always dream of playing with each other and, you know, in the same team. So hopefully we'll get that opportunity towards the end of the season when I'm back. But no, he's enjoying his time.
He's helped me settle in since I've been here in France. Nothing's changed since when we were in primary school. You know, making sure I'm good with my friends, or make sure I got my lunch. When I was here for the first month, it felt like we were back in primary school. You know, putting on our uniform and getting ready for school. I think the only difference is our mum wasn't there to pack our lunches.
We played him a game in battle. That was the first time I played against him, and he ran the ball straight at me, and I'll never forget it. And he put me on the ground, and he just ran straight into me. I was playing 12, and yeah, that's when I knew, holy heck, this kid's strong.
I think people don't see a lot of his off-field, how he is off-field, and growing up he was sometimes be an emotional wreck, whether we get in trouble from our parents and whatnot. But you know, he does wear his heart on his sleeve, and he is a passionate man, whether that's for his faith, whether that's for his country or his family. So that's something I've definitely looked up to since growing up.
We met through my high school friend, which was his cousin back in Brisbane. I really didn't even know what rugby was, to be honest, when I first met Nems, because I grew up on NRL, but I'm used to it now. But before it was a little bit difficult. Groceries per week is quite a lot. I get a few stares at the grocery store when I go to the checkout, but you know, I have to feed him. Good boy.
I'm originally a Kurandrani, so my grandfather's a Kurandrani, and then when my mother and father divorced, you know, I took the reins to look after the family and help out with mum, and I knew I had this talent. I knew I was good enough to become a professional. I think that's when it changed for me, to earn a bit of money to help out with my old lady. And at the time I had my two younger brothers, Chris and Nossi, who were still in high school and primary school respectively. And sort of with the old man not in the picture there for a few years, I sort of took the helm, and I used rugby as initially it was just a way to make money, to put money on the table. And then it wasn't until I made the trip down to Sydney to go play for Randwick, because that's when a guy called Duncan McRae, who used to play for the Waratahs and I think the Wallabies, he's pulled me aside and said, mate, get your act together. You could potentially, become someone. Haven't looked back since.
Oh yeah. Yo, let's do this. Got picture homie rolling. Let me offer my condolence. You don't know just how I'm doing.
Fiji, we play soccer too. Oh!
Sorry, man.
We got fitness. Jesus, take the wheel. I don't know, but we're running.
So 2010, it was my last year at the Waratahs. I just wanted to come overseas, and I didn't know anything about the club at the time. I just knew that they were in the top 14, and that was enough for me. I was 21 then, came over here, and from what you're used to back home, the professionalism and everything from off the field and on the field was professional, and I'd come to this place where it wasn't.
Oui, j'ai compris. Dom, 3 blocs jeu, 3 blocs physique. Bruh, but the commentators are saying too, oh, look at some of these Fijian boys, they're big boys. Hard to believe they're 19, 20. Boy, I was saying some discriminating.
At the time, I was still, trying to support my family and trying to support my old lady, and I still had my brother's last year of high school and my younger brother who was still in primary school. So, for them, they were always on my mind. I still had that mentality of just trying to, earn some money to put food on the table back home in Brisbane.
Ooh, he's back. Are you gonna buckle my knee? Boys, nothing but positive, eh? Positive chat.
It wasn't until I moved to Exeter and got into a bit of trouble there, and I got done for drink driving, and obviously something I'm not proud about, but sleeping on that cell, in that cell that night, it made me realise, if I didn't make the right decisions, I'd be not only impacting myself but my family, and this could be taken away from me pretty quickly.
Should have done that cardio session this morning.
Being so far away from my family, my girlfriend, my partner at the time, which is my wife now, she'd gone back to Brisbane, so it was just me in the UK, and so I struggled mentally, and I struggled, not having family around, and finished up with Exeter there, and I wanted to be close to home, and Japan was where I set up shop for 4 seasons, and I think I did a lot of growing there, a lot of growth as a person, and I enjoyed my time in Japan. It was a foreign country.
They would come up, like we're going down an escalator, and whoever was standing next to him would literally touch his arm or put their foot next to his and make those certain noises and be in awe. So it was quite funny. Walking in the crowds, I would never lose him because he was the tallest guy in the crowd.
I actually thought that, Japan was going to be, I was going to stay there for the next 10 years, 12 years. I had the opportunity to, and I thought I was just going to retire there. But the burning desire was still there to play Super Rugby. Obviously a lot changed when I went over to the Crusaders. When I found out I was going to Crusaders, you know, I was so conscious. I remember 7 weeks in Japan, I dropped down to 121. I dropped 12 kilos. And obviously it wasn't healthy, but, you know, so I played most of the first season at 125. I went back to my ideal weight at 130, my second year and the third years. Yeah, it was a big change, big shift. And plus, at the time, you know, I was playing with Dan Carter, Richard McCaw, the Kieran Reid, so, you know, you didn't want to do anything to let him down. So it was a bit tense first season. When I signed, I'd had a meeting with the coaches, and I'll never forget it. They said, you know, and hopefully we may give you some game time at the end of the season. And I was like, oh mate, I just to be there was just like, wow, you know. So I was still just training hard, doing my extras and whatnot. And then the opportunity came, I think 2 weeks later after the conversation, got called into the office, and Toddy Blackadder, remember him telling me, oh yeah, where's your passport? And I said, oh, it's at home. He was like, yeah, bring it with you on Friday. You're coming with us to Melbourne. From there, it was like, you know, everything I've always wanted to do. And it's amazing how life works, because I thought that I'd make it my debut in Australia. Obviously where I came, you know, where I grew up and whatnot, but, you know, I ended up, I think, scoring, you know, top try scorer with Falau there. And so that, yeah, it was just such a surreal year. And, you know, I think from there it sort of kicked off my career in terms of, okay, who is this guy, Nemani Nadolo? Because I believe before that I was just the Nemani Nadolo, the rugby player, you know, who's been here, been there.
So there's a lot of pressure on him. Every game, every week they play, there's always pressure.
So it was after the grand final, we'd lost obviously to the Waratahs. We'd come back and Christchurch, and we're at a bar on a Sunday night. Old mate had a bit too much to drink, and, you know, obviously he was a bit annoyed that we lost, and he'd come out and the N word was thrown around, and you know, I was probably gobsmacked. I was like, wow. You know, you'd ask yourself, why is this still happening? You know, I can understand the frustration of losing, but, you don't resort to racism, you know. I've learned over the years to just walk away from it. Hadn't I not been a professional person or a public person, I probably would have done something. That's just the honest truth. But, you know, we've got an obligation to be, whether we like it or not, to be role models in this place. And that's what probably stuck with me till today. You know, there's a few occasions that's happened. So it's probably one thing in our game that's still around. People say it's not, but it is. It's still there.
What happened?
Okay, fine, his GPS to you.
Mate, apologise to Dom.
Dom.
Apologise to Dom. Dom, sorry man, we had to make you walk because of someone's, you know, doesn't listen.
Sometimes he can, you know, get really upset and emotional from some like important games. I think the game against France, he was emotional.
Another accomplishment that I'd always wanted to do was to play in a World Cup. We played England the first game, and it's probably the only time I've ever had a crossfield kick playing for Fiji. I just had to use my body weight and luckily I got that try. But yeah, I mean, that was for me the highlight of my World Cup, you know, scoring a try in the opener. We sang the anthem, and I've sung it a lot of times before that. And that one time we sang it, there was a picture. I started crying pretty heavily because it just, everything I'd gone through, everything I've done off the field, on the field, good stuff, bad stuff, had all just come to that one point, you know. And I knew there and then that, right, this is the place, you know, where you can make a difference, not only for yourself, but for your country and for your team and for your family. And I remember going to that game, was everything I touched, it had to make a difference. And, you know, first ball I remember was, I think, off the line out, and had Ford and Barrett there running in the middle of them. But yeah, from after that first run, it was like, yes, I'm here. And then, yeah, everything just happened so quickly, and before you know it, the World Cup was finished. My dream was was to play at the highest level, and with Fiji, and the opportunity to play for them is different. The feeling is different compared to playing club rugby, or because you're playing for a lot. You got a lot to give, but a little in return, if that makes sense. I mean, you don't get the big paycheck, the glamour, as your tier 1 nations would get, and for me, we didn't have much, so it made playing for that jersey feel a bit more special, a lot more, it just meant a lot more. My passion for Fiji, when I wear that jersey, everything shuts off, I had the fortunate opportunity to play from, 7 years, I think it is. And just looking at the Fiji team now, they're in great hands. They've got a lot of great outside backs, and I just can't wait to watch them, do well and hopefully, turn some heads. The decision to make was probably the toughest decision I've made in my career, but I can easily say it was the best one.
Yeah, we had a good chat about it. I'll be 32 this year. He'll be 30. He's already 31. We wanna retire from the game. We don't want the game to retire us. In Fiji, we don't have that support live after rugby, especially as a Fiji rugby player. Unlike if you play for England or New Zealand, the live after rugby is really good. But as for Fijians, it's really hard. So we just chat about looking after ourselves and the benefits that we have here, the welfare that we have here in Montpellier, the club, the insurance, everything. We're comfortable with that.
A lot of the Islander boys that come are very shy and don't speak English, let alone trying to get them to speak French. I've had situations where players have called me and saying, look, my agent's not answering my phone calls, or he doesn't do this for me, or doesn't do that for me. Are you able to help me? It's sad to see, because a lot of these guys that come from the islands don't have much. They come from poverty, but with the Players Association, we're really working hard. With a lot of the current players playing now, to help with these young guys, which is a great initiative. At 31 now, the end of the road is it's not far away, and but the thing is, one thing I'm grateful of, before I became a professional rugby player, I worked. I did all sorts of jobs. So I know what it's like, to work. And so for me, I'm not worried about retiring, I'm more excited about the next chapter in my career, in my life. I've always had a keen interest in real estate, so that could be something I could do after, or still being part of the game, especially to do with Pacific Island rugby.
We love France, we want to stay here, and we're not sure what's going to come after rugby here, but if there was anything to, any opportunities to stay, then of course we would stay.
It's funny because it's exciting that, I'm not too far away, but, and I can, so which is good, because it makes me enjoy, these next few years, because, I know I've got 2 more years left. For me, it's just looking at it, just exciting times moving forward.